Hello, this is my presentation of the Mount Vernon School District's fiscal year 18 budget. I'm sorry I'm not able to be with you in person, but my plan is to present this budget to you via this video and then to answer any questions you have by calling in. The Mount Vernon fiscal year 18 budget is essentially flat. It's down $447, or it comes in at $4,616,682. We're able to achieve these cost savings and keep a flat budget, mainly in part to some savings we're able to realize through staffing changes. So first I'll start with the bad news, reasons, places where the budget has increased. First, New Hampshire Retirement has reset their rates, and as a result, that part of the budget that's a fixed cost is going up about $14,000. The New Hampshire Retirement System resets their rates every 2 years, and next year will be a rate increase year for us, and it will stay the same for the next 2 years. Also, health insurance, we're seeing a 16.9% increase in health insurance, and while that represents $17,000 increase in the budget, we have seen some savings and staff turnover. In other words, some of our new employees that we've hired have lower cost health plans than the people that they replaced, and that's resulted in that line only going up marginally compared to where it's going on in other places. Next, we're looking to replace our telephone system in the Mount Vernon School District. John Schuttinger can certainly provide more insight into why we're doing that, but the phone system that we have now has become unreliable and outdated. It's an end-of-life system that is leaving us at times where we have no phone system and no ability to make phone calls outside of the building except for cell phones. And we realize it's time to finally address that issue directly. Next, we have a teacher step increase as part of the collective bargaining agreement with the MVEA. That adds about $45,000 to the budget next year. And then next, a large chunk increase is in regards to special education tuition for out-of-district students. We have a number of students out of district. As a result, that tuition number is a large portion of our budget. The state of New Hampshire's Department of Education has authorized all out-of-district providers to set a 10% rate increase next year for their tuition numbers. Unfortunately, we're not able to negotiate those rates at all, and we have to eat those cost increases. That adds about $50,000 to our budget. We also want to talk about the increase of the interventionist positions. There are currently 2 half-time interventionist positions at Mount Vernon Village School, one for reading and one for math. And we feel strongly about the need to increase both positions to full-time next year. Part of the justification for this increase is the loss of federal funding. Some of the Title I program funds that have been used in the past for similar purposes have gone away. And further, we're seeing an increased need for intervention for the students that we do have. And what we attempt to do with these positions is avoid the need for further interventions in the special education realm and sort of head off those concerns before they become larger. Very important positions to us in our budget. And those position increases by themselves add about $81,000 to the budget. So we know a big ticket item, but a very important one from our perspective. On to some good news. We are able to reduce our budget by about $47,000 in the legal budget. We're able to anticipate about savings of $42,000 in our tuition line for Amherst. Although that's a preliminary number, it's not based on Amherst's updated budget as they haven't completed their budget yet. So that's kind of a placeholder. And we are including 2 additional students higher than what we anticipate as our enrollment next year in grades 7 and 8, just to maintain a buffer in that area of the budget. And even with those 2 extra students, we still see a reduction of $42,000. Right now, the facilities repair lines are down about $30,000 because we've listed those things separately for you to discuss and decide as a board which facility repair items, if any, you'd like to include in the budget. Computer equipment is down about $20,000. John Schuttinger has worked closely with Bruce Chakrin on that portion of the budget and has figured out ways to budget appropriately based on the equipment that we have and what we anticipate, and that results in a savings of about $20,000. Finally, because of our anticipated class sizes for next year, we're anticipating a reduction of one teaching position from our teaching staff, and that reduces the budget by about $74,000. One other thing that will affect the budget both up and down is we have one student issue where we are able to send tuition money in a different direction and therefore reduce a staffing need that we have while at the same time increasing the tuition costs out of district. I can't get into any more specifics than that, but largely what this means is that there is a small change in the budget, both in the special education tuition line and in the instructional assistant salary lines. And that's listed for you in your budget items there. I want to talk about the facilities projects that are open for you for discussion and to decide whether any of them you'd like to include in the budget. First, we can continue the window replacement program. That would be about an $8,000 number to include in the budget next year. Second, to rekey the entire building to get the keying system on the same aligned system and to streamline that, the entire locking system in the building would be about $6,500. And both John Schuttinger and John Robichaud can update you about more of the rationale behind that change. To add card access entry to the front doors would be $4,000. We've included that in the executive summary for you to talk about. And then to start a program to update the entire building to LED lighting, we included a number of $10,000. And that's really just an estimate and a range that the board can decide their level of comfort with that type of program. That would be something that would take place over a number of years and would result in energy savings through the use of LED lighting, as opposed to either the incandescent or fluorescent lighting that we have throughout the building. The last item for discussion is insulation / attic space and the solution to that problem there. John Robichaud has done a tremendous amount of work. He's worked with a roofing company, an insulation company, and an engineer to look into that roofing issue we discussed during our budget walkthrough. And he's still working on the final numbers for what we need to do there. Largely, what it boils down to is we need to add insulation to the attic. That's one of the issues. And then the second is we need to start thinking about a roof replacement. It's not time yet to fully commit to a roof replacement, but we need to put that on the radar of the board and of the community because the roof is approaching the end of its useful life. It's not there yet, again, but it's approaching the end. And we need to start thinking about how we'll address that, either through setting funds aside through a capital reserve fund or potentially considering a bond issue at some point in the near future. And so that needs to be on the board's radar. Everything else in the budget that we've gone through line by line as our first pass has resulted in some savings throughout the budget. But we want to talk through those things with you, and we know that we'll do that over the next several meetings. The board decisions that you'll have for you to decide and things that you'll need to consider are the number of projected students for tuition purposes. As I mentioned before, we've included 2 extra students for that purpose, but the board will want to come to some decision about your level of comfort and budgeting in that area. You'll need to talk about a non-union salary increase amount. Nothing is budgeted right now for non-union folks for a salary increase, and so you'll need to talk about what amount you're comfortable with as a board. And then, of course, facilities projects and staffing levels that we've talked about a little bit in terms of number of teaching staff in our building. You'll need to talk about that as well. So with that, that's our budget presentation for this evening. We'd be pleased to answer any questions you might have, and we'll switch over from the video to the live portion now. Thank you very much.